Hello and welcome to TNO Last Days of Europe, and today I'm going to play as the Republic of China. So let's jump right into it. Well, some background history. Basically, we're a Japanese puppet and we have a lot of stuff to do. Machinations of the legislative yuan. Oh god. The old guard is left KMT, who had joined Wang, I can't pronounce those names, Jing Wei and Gao Zhongwu in the defection to the Japanese side. The Japanophiles. And true cooperation between the people of Asia will bring the most prosperity to China, even at the cost of subjugation, and reformists. Oh, we can talk with them. Okay. Let's see who are the best reformists. Largely consist of hopeful and patriotic young party members, delusioned with a pan-Asianist dream and seeking to eventually bring China back to the world stage as a reformed and modernized power. We're going reformist. Fuck this shit, we're going reformist. Good. Let's start with our not really all that much lacking tech. We're pretty much up to date on most stuff. Okay, scratch that. We're not up to date on most stuff. We're lacking a lot. And we only have junta troops. Okay. I will just leave them where they are right now for the time being. Also, time. Okay. Let's produce at least some resemblement of basic equipment, like maybe an early fighter and early class, and some tanks, I guess. Medical equipment, a bit of motorization, and a convoy here and there. With no, yeah, who cares about that right now? Let's just produce it. And our focus tree. So let's see. We got education, technology, and industrialization. I would say we're gonna start with with education. The first of the modernizations, education, is a pressing matter for our country. Most of our population is illiterate, and we need them to be able to read and write in order to challenge Japan. We will begin a series of projects to educate our people. Then let's do that. No template. Yeah, we understood it. Mostly just want to... Oh, decrease. Oh god. Positive. The 5 modernizations. Drawn up as Gao's ultimate dream for China, the 5 modernizations are his plans to overhaul and modernize China's industrial, educational, military, research and national capabilities. Finally, after years of elaborating, editing and finalizing the design for the greatest governmental push in recent Chinese history, the modernization are waiting to begin. However, all is not well in Gao's realm. The Japanese may not be happy with the Chinese transforming further than the breadbasket, and the process will certainly be painful. Progress comes with change. It will change there are those who are left behind. In the end, those who have sacrificed their lives for the Chinese dream will be honored. Until then, we must tread carefully as we navigate the 5 modernizations. A call for national renewal has been sent by Gao, and efforts are already underway. In a matter of years, China will be a modern nation, one to be envied and not pitied. Okay, we need to remove old guard influence. With its members old and corrupt, and factions will remain more or less content with to continue the business. Yeah. We need to get rid of them. Aha. Modern, basic, motorized, and let's kick that out. Goodbye, goodbye. Yeah, better. Alright. Do we have any... No, we don't. Yeah, state of education, deciphered, defeated, defanged tiger, small army, slave of the samurai, okay. German moon landing, not really our deal. Assassin strike Hitler. And Spear is the successor. Education. A nation is only as strong as its most educated people. And frankly, the highest echelon of Chinese education is hardly equivalent to that of Japan's. President Gao Sung-woo has recognized the poor state of Chinese education, and so have the people. Hordes of letters occupying the president's desk, all of them pleas for help. As ever innovating world continues to rush past us, hundreds of thousands of Chinese workers are forlorn, left wondering how they will provide for their families. To combat mass illiteracy and its consequences on the efficiency of the government, Song-woo has issued a general reform of the education system, promising sweeping changes for the country's attitude towards illiteracy. These reforms will all be encompassed within the modernization program of education. Gao's offensive against the pathetic educational system comes in a three-pronged attack. Firstly, the people must read. Increasing literacy sounds simple enough, but with such a massive and widely dispersed population, ensuring everyone can read will be no easy feat. To ensure that the next generation of Chinese students receive the best education, the reform proposal also calls for hosting intellectuals from Japan. Family, once students met the bare minimum of reading and writing, finally, as taught by highly qualified Japanese teachers, we will grant them a revitalized and modern curriculum. The goals set by the proposal seem far-fetched, but if they can be accomplished, there will surely be a stage for modern China. Literacy programs. The government is planning on implementing literacy programs to help us teaching our people how to read and write. Hopefully this will be effective and we will speed up our modernization. Ach du Scheiße. Our education efficiency determines our effectiveness of our educational programs. We can increase the study and improving our educational modernization progress reaches 100, improving our country's academic base. Once the study reaches 6, the modernization of our education will be completed. Our current educational efficiency is 0. Our educational modernization progress tracks our advances towards bringing our education up to modern standards. When the value reaches 100%, we will be able to increase our educational efficiency, advancing our academic base, and improve the state of our education. Our current progress towards education modernization is 10%. The Chinese Economic Report. For all the steps that Japan and the national government had taken to improve the Chinese economy, there was still a long way to go before it could become the economic power that the sphere demanded it to be. Although the coastal cities had come a long way from the war-torn remnants of the end of the Sino-Japanese War, most large settlements were still in the same condition as they had been for much of the 20th century. Agriculture was still the dominant part of the economy, thanks to the largely underdeveloped parts of the countryside. Rural life had changed somewhat. A great number of farmers had been consolidated into the holding of a handful of companies. Other communities had thrived mostly untouched, left to carry out their life in near isolation, with only occasional contact from regional authorities to ensure that their presence was still felt. The progression of ending agrarian economic dominance was slow going. It would take many years until China could be considered a nation with a modern economy. Cities would require far more investments. The countryside needed it more so, in order to even make the land useful for the industrial sector. There was now time for the Chinese president to make his report on the state of the economy. An objective, that transparent report was the obvious answer, although that carried the inevitable consequences of Japanese stern disapproval. Fear of disappointment aside, Tokyo was not the most issued of masters. They were unlikely to notice a few slight alterations to the report. Regardless, the president would need to make his decision without delay. Inflate the numbers, it's for our own good. Death of Hui Shi. Hui Shi, famous for his pivotal role in the language reform and educational modernization, has quietly passed in his sleep in the comfort of his Shanghai home. A true patriot, he defected to the legitimate Chinese government and, despite his controversial policies, devoted his life and work toward his country. His greatest contribution was the smooth conversion of classical Chinese to Hatsuwen. Sorry for butchered that. Vernacular Chinese in writing, bringing China one step closer to modernity. His memory can be honored in only one way, to the modernization of China. He was a great man. Increase modernization. Okay, good. So I need to get all this done, and it will 100% decrease reformists. That truly sucks. But we will do what we can. The literacy reforms. Literacy forms the foundation of civilization. Without it, the very conception of the state would not exist. Without it, Songu would be backwater, no better than the barbarians surrounding her. It was for this reason that literacy must be the central focus of our nation. When the men and women of our nation cannot read, they cannot function to their highest potential. The new Committee of Language and Literacy stated that Hangxi, after 3,000 years of development, has become an unorganized conglomerate of characters. They have proposed a gargantuan modernization of the writing language, to transform it into a writing system of a modern world. No longer will the peasant boy study for years only to give up, frustrated at an obsolete system. No longer will the common worker struggle to wrap their minds around the twists and turns of our language. The old China died in Chongqing long ago. Why should its language limp along? Along with the greatest reform of our language in a millennial, the language of the sphere, and one of the up-and-coming languages of the world, is being taught from primarily all the way to university, Japanese. If we are to truly be a nation of the sphere, we must integrate ourselves fully as part of the new Pan-Asian philosophy. Very promising. I would say we also just go for industrialization. We're just going to click on it and go through it. But then we need to go through this entire tree before we can do anything. So let's just do technology. Despite all our manpower and resources, we cannot hope to match the industrial output of Japan and their geopolitical rivals. What separates us from them is the depressing state of our technology and equipment standards. If we were ever to compete on the international scene, we must resolve this. So we shall. And we are at 15. And our monthly progress is 5. Shouldn't our progress be up? Increase performance opinion. Research speed plus. Oh! That was this. Oh yeah, this one was it. Man, this is pathetic. Well, luckily we are on our way to hopefully somewhat better this. Okay. Opinion of the current government is good. That's pretty good. We need to boost the influence. But we don't get enough PP to do that. It's a dilemma. It's a fucking dilemma. What are they actually doing? Show in public. Ah. Technology, in with the new. A farmer in Shandong carries 2 leaking buckets of water 2 miles from the nearest well back to his farm, pouring the water into his kettle, through and turning around to make a second trip. A woman hurries home through the lightless streets of Nanjing, navigating by memory. As she reaches her apartment, she lights a candle so that she may have some light to see by. These scenes would have not been out of place in China of 1750, and yet they happened yesterday. The people of China work their fields by hand and plow, much as they did 300 years ago. Modern forms of communications are non-existent outside of the cities. For centuries, China was at the forefront of scientific discoveries. Paper making, printing, gunpowder, the list of world-changing innovations is too long to name. If we were to ever return to our former glory, we must reclaim this legacy. The 5 modernizations will bring China into the modern day, and the modernization of our technology is a vital part of this plan. The long march to technological modernization begins. And it begins with import Chinese. Oh wait, we wanted to reform Chinese language. In order for us to make it easier for people to read and write Mandarin, a few officials have designed a reform of the language, saying that we should simply simplify the Hanzi that we use in our language. This would make it easier for many people to gain literacy. Okay, this is basically the same. Works the same, goes the same. Good. KMT spies found within the government. So Kuomintang were the undisputed hegemonic leaders of China before the Japanese came and conquered. When they installed a new republic and suppressed the nationalist Kuomintang, Chiang Kai-shek former colleagues went underground. Rumors spread within the bureaucracy of the right KMT infiltrating the government and influencing policy decisions, driving China closer to anarchy. Today, these suspicions were revealed as to be painfully true. A number of government officials, from low-level civilian servants to high-ranking officials, were revealed to be undercover right KMT agents. They were found secretly conversing with guerrilla KMT forces operating in the southeast on the subject of redirecting a train of bullion from Lianjiang to Yuan. A police officer spotted the group in a train yard and went to speak with them, unsure as to why suited figures were in the freight area. After they offered an excuse and badly forged documents, the police officer decided to report the group to his superiors. This prompted the discovery of the cell, and the police arrested the group. Currently, they are waiting on trial. Treason is expected to ash to dust. Let's see, I hope we can get the social democracy. Under the gaze of Mao and beneath the shadow of the mountains, the Shaanxi Mountains shone in the morning light. They stood just below the clouds, each one peaking even higher until one had to crane his neck to see the top. Here were the stuff of legends, of philosophers, of myth. The gods lived in these parts. In a sense, the communists were gods, not quite humans, living in caves and unhidden to the everyman's eyes. They lived and died by the rifle. Each one had renounced material possessions, that capitalist tool, in favor of two little books written by their chairman Mao. Their lanterns had long run out of fuel and their radios broke. No matter how many died in that raid, they still had their spirits, their comrades, and their books. As long as they lived under the gaze of Mao and beneath the shadow of the mountains, they would still have all this. All of the essential aspects of life. That must be... no. Ah, okay. And so it happened to become an impossibility to live under the shadow of the mountains and the gaze of the shaman. It had all begun one afternoon, a day of rest. See, for the communists, the long march had never ended. It had paused during the war, but then it had continued, an endless exodus in a nation so large the plains and mountains and forests went on for days. The enemies were many and great, and the distance greater. They had fallen asleep in the middle of the day, exhausted from each and every tweak. One snuck into the food stores for a meal, and fell to his knees. It was all gone, saved for a few crumbs. Whether it was a beast or a man hardly mattered. The efforts of a year's worth of honest farming and half a year's worth of righteous stealing was gone. Even this was not enough to destroy their holdouts. He had braved worse. The tragedy that followed boned the true collapse. It was not supposed to come to an end this way. Each one had envisioned a bold end, fighting to the death in the land they loved. So when the man went to bed hungry and depressed with his comrades, they were not expecting an attack in the rudest of times. The police were first. 2 villagers out hunting had seen a camp being set up and reported to the local officials. The officers had reported to higher-ups, and before everyone knew, an army unit was on it. Bursting in while they slept on straw and dirt, each communist was dead within minutes. Dirtied and sleeping on straw, the dead men did not much look like gods. And result and this was what became to those who slept under the gaze of Mao. Manpower -11. You can't reduce from nothing. God, my reading skills. So awful at times. Huh. A day in the life. Old holdouts. Then woke up to the sound of gunfire, and yet he barely stirred. Hang was on watch day, and Nuon was shouting targets. Breakfast was being made, and judging by the gluttonous smell in the air, it was sticky rice. Stores were running low, and today was raid day. But that could wait. This was the one day Zen was given the privilege of sleeping in. An old radio played some Chinese songs from before the war, and he wished he could go back to sleep to those melodies. But once Zen awoke, he was unable to go back to sleep. There was no point in tossing and turning in his coat. Grabbing a chunk of nearly finished glutinous rice, he made sure his rifle magazine was full of bullets and prayed they would work when the time came. Hangyang crowd could only fire so many times before it broke. A little bow to his ancestors. For his brother in arms, he had been given the honor of leading the raid. He didn't deserve it, not after 2 had died, but he was given it nevertheless. The only map they had of the village could no longer be trusted. It dated back decades. Change in the country took place. Glacially slow, but not that slow. It would have to do. Like the rifle and the radio and the pots and pans and the commander himself, it would have to do. Even if everything failed, he would still have loyal men and brothers of the Kuomintang to fight for him. Okay. A day in the life, beasts of the mountain. They watched from the hills the village going about their daily lives. The homes were wood and dirt, half collapsing. A cement building in the center had a flag that stood still. There was no wind today. The big man strolled around, smiling and greeting residents, smartly dressed with a pin on the flag of the Fourth Republic on his breast pocket. Bastard. There was something too confident about him. It was the first time he had ever felt anything like it. But then had a nagging feeling in his heart. Courage, most likely. To his fellow raiders, he pointed to the food store down the hill to the south, where each had given him an affirmative. They yelled some words that had lost meaning to each one a long time ago and charged. He was not surprised why the peasants called them the beasts of the mountains. They fit the picture, dirty clothing, tattered, teeth bared. They were beasts, but beasts with a righteous cause. Among the cracks of guns, Zhang could hardly think. He could see villagers going down like flies, but he did not meet any resistance. Then stood glazed at the storehouse and commanded his brothers to take the food and get out. The nagging feeling remained, but now was not the time for it. The villagers were still screaming, and there was still work to do. Quicker than he thought, his men emerged from the storehouse with panic looked on their faces. He understood why there was no resistance. The storehouse went up in flames before his men could get out. Out of all the screams, it was only theirs that he could hear. There was no resistance because it was a trap. Then finally knew that nagging feeling was. It was not courage, it was ferocity. It was fear. Okay, first we're gonna look. Encourage domestic consumption. Or invest in Chinese companies. Let's do that one. Already influence authority. We are making steps toward it. They have a negative opinion. Oh, we can't go too low with them, or they will give us negative. That's good to know. In Song Wu's cabinet, there is a particularly sturdy rumor. It speaks of a great national project, one to define China for decades. It is not, however, some great monumental building, nor is it some long Mandarin road or railway. It is not a technological modernization of the cities. It is something far greater than all of those. These whispers are of the project to simplify our collective 3,000 years of China. Chinese. It is a project of modernization, but more than that, it is a project of innovation. Innovate the very fire of China, the spirit that propels us all. It is a project to renew China as we were renewed in the Great Taiping Rebellion, as we were renewed during the 1911 Revolution. We're making our language more accessible, To all people, everyone in Songwu will enjoy the work of Lu Fei Kui and Qian Xuantong. Standardized Kuashu was the potential to become not only the most common in China, but could evolve into a global language. The leading grammarians and linguists of China have converged in the hope of the shared Chinese vision, one of the Chinese language of the many, not the few. Let's hope this works. God, it's so hard to pronounce all these when you're German. I have literally no idea of Chinese pronunciation. What can we do next? Yeah. While import Chinese computer designs, while our offices have been filled with the sound, the scratching of pen against paper for generations, in Japan the beat of bureaucracy has become the steady clack of computer keyboards. The time has come to change the tune of our work, not to match. And surely the Japanese wouldn't mind us taking steps to advance our administrative capacities. So we shall do it. I just hope the music wasn't too loud. Oh fuck, it might have been too loud. Shoosh. Also, yeah, you can see I'm watching Jan Böhmermann. The Creation Autumn. As a Rights Act. What is Japan up to? Mongolian Civil War. Magadan. Amur. Omsk is doing Omsk stuff. Where is it? Let me finish that one, great. Vacuum computing. Aryan Brotherhood is doing Aryan Brotherhood stuff. Right, we didn't already research that? Huh, cool. Spared us some time. Catching the wave of the future. While their current use is somewhat limited, especially in China, where accuracy is a rare luxury, there's no denying that computers will be instrumental in technological and societal development in the coming decades. Our clerks and accountants spend weeks combing through disorganized and often incomplete records and running numbers to provide reports and answers a computer could generate in a few hours. To avoid falling even further behind the modern world than we already have, we must begin implementing computing technologies into the 5 modernization plans immediately. Luckily, there are several Japanese companies who have offered to sell their computer design plans to us in return for commitment to use the newly built machines to improve agricultural production and manufacturing outputs. Of course, once we have the designs, there is nothing to stop us from using them for other purposes. Modern construction equipment. Yes, I know, we have been building things this way since our great-grandfathers was a child, but you know, we would actually like to build a modern factory sometime before the next century. So hurry up and order those cranes like you were told. Another morning walk. Gao rested his head into his hands. He couldn't look at any more paperwork. That was just too much. He looked out longingly through the window. Grey clouds began to circulate over the busy city. Taking in a deep breath, he pushed his chair back and stood up. Maybe a walk could clear his mind. Leaving the office, he slipped into his coat. Behind him, a soft voice called out, "Mr. President, are you going to be long?" Gao turned around, visibly startled. No, I'll be right back. Just have to." The Chinese president cleared his throat. "I just have to clear my mind." Around him, umbrellas began to pop open as the first raindrops began to fall. 1 umbrella, 2, 10, 50. More and more umbrellas sprang up around him. It froze the Chinese president in his tracks. So many people in this one city, just one. All of them under his protection, relying on him. Gao Songwu alone, to fix this broken country. Shaking his head, he soldiered on. He knew where he had to go. When the rising sun cast its ray into divided China, so much was lost. Centuries-old artifacts simply reduced to rubble. The memorial of Dr. Su Yat-sen stood tall and proud amongst the bustling crowd. The Japanese were not so foolish as to destroy this monument, even if it was a relic of an old regime. Chiang's KMT was many things, pondered Songwu, but at least they were free. Perhaps we too shall be free. Sorry. Slowly losing my voice before I even started an hour. Well, still some time to go, so... I better go and drink something. Burgundy just blew something up, and the Trump we are at just got destroyed. National focus completed. I'm just going to want to choose the next one. I think next one is going to be invite Japanese intellectuals. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. While the introduction of computer technology in China has greatly accelerated our path to modernization, it has also exposed some oversights in the plan. Computers are difficult to build and maintain. And this problem is only worsened by the lack of modern construction equipment available in China. By acquiring all the machinery and tools used in modern construction sites, we will be able to build dedicated facilities for new computers fully capable of housing and running them. As an added bonus, this new equipment can then be put to use building countless new industrial sites, factories, mines, roads and other projects that will be vital to the progress of the Chinese nation. Contracts have already been drawn up with the multiple suppliers in Japan to sell the equipment at reduced cost in return for exclusive production rights at the newly built facilities. While this may limit our profits in the short term, it will be worth to receive state-of-the-art construction machines at such low cost. Let's get to work. Invite Chinese intellectuals. Our ancestors' mistake was not letting go of their ancient pride and not recognizing that our methods have fallen behind the Western ones. Japan has realized it, and now they rule over us. We must collaborate with their intellectuals to better understand how they managed to catch up so rapidly, and perhaps learn a few lessons from the experience. We need to boost the influence of the reformists. Yeah. Oh, so many debuffs. Small army. The graffiti trial. The streets of Shanghai are dirty and undesirable. Beggars lie in every corner and cower under every sunroof. One recent menace terrorizing the streets have been teenage hooligans, spreading liberal and socialist lies whenever the opportunity arises. A week ago, anti-imperialist graffiti, or obscene drawings were found sprinkled along the bottom of the Chinese Mitsubishi office. As soon as these crude illustrations were found, authorities began to investigate. After raiding numerous homes in the slums, the police charged into a woman's home. The elderly woman, frightened, began to beat the man with sandals. While the officers endured the slight discomfort for a couple of minutes, they eventually knocked the woman out and found stacks of empty spray cans down the stairs underneath the ground floor. Also down in the basement was a teenager cowering in a corner, shaking. After being shot with rubber bullets, the teenager was dragged out and forced to confess his crimes. After disturbing the peace, the liberals scanned the brat that he was, ratted out his accomplices, who were promptly arrested. The military tribunal found them guilty and sentenced them to death for treason. The teenagers, who had been rotting in a cell for days, were finally brought to the gallows. One fainted, his knees buckling before stepping up to the rope. The soldiers present shot him in the head. The rest had the noose put around their neck. As the stones were pulled beneath them, most called for their families. One let out a short prayer. One of them, short and red-faced, had the nerve to make his last words, "Fuck the Emperor." Finally, as the stone was pulled underneath the final perpetrator, he screamed in the final moment of defiance, "Long live Xiang's shine," before choking on his tongue. We will never know his final words. Holy shit, they're brutal. Holy shit. Wait. Whoa. That was really brutal. Opportunity at the port of Dalian. The ships arrived along the shore, carrying with them our hopes and dreams of a renewed China. Teachers, by the hundreds or thousands, arrived, intent on teaching potential laborers for their sphere of co-prosperity, or whatever idealistic enthusiasm we schmoozed those Japanese diplomats with. Little do any of them know what potential these men will do to our greater plan. Little to those distant slave masters know of our final goal: a step for the state, a leap for our nations. Let's start industrialization. Just so we have a good mix and slowly work our way through it. The third of the modernization. Industrialization is vital to our development as a modern nation. How can we expect to restart our leading role in Asia if we can grow rice but cannot build a single rifle or mine a single piece of silver? Okay. Why is technology going ahead faster? Even though we have like a 7 down here. Huh. Okay, the Coca-Cola incident. For decades now, there has been a national reawakening in America, a shift in American interest, not in God or culture or ideology, but something more simple. The Americans have become infatuated with a brown carbonated drink called Coca-Cola. Dum dum dum. According to an anonymous report, this Coke is supposedly sweet and dangerously addictive. Can confirm. While Americans have claimed that this addictive factor is not due to the possibility of cocaine in the drink, we can't trust them. Dealing in Coca-Cola or any other dangerous illicit drugs is severely punished. For even taking a sip could get an innocent child of China addicted. It was on the 9th of August that this after-mentioned liquid was found in an old country warehouse only 50 kilometers from Chongqing. a warehouse raided, prompted by informants within the triads undercover boxes upon boxes full of Coca-Cola, opium, marijuana, and every other Western decadent drug under the sun. While the drugs were safely disposed of, more importantly, the Coca-Cola was incarnated. As an unfortunate side effect, paranoia is at an all-time high. Dangerous rumors within the police department have begun to spread. Apparently, one of the members of the raid decided to take a few of the bottles home to his family. We will not allow American products on our soil. Vertical industrial. Oh, I love those events. Invite Japanese companies. Tito and the partisans are defeated. That's not good. That's Speer, right? Yeah, the reformer. The Italians are doing Italian stuff. The co-culprits. A troubling report arrived at the desk of Guan Songwu, the chief of police in Chongqing. Gao Songwu? Gao Songwu. Oh, wait, yeah, no, wait, I can't read. The chief of police in Chongqing has betrayed the nation. The report details how, while lounging in the office, the officer began to blabber about how American products were vastly superior. Raising some eyebrows in the room, it continued on, saying that Japanese drinks had nothing on the cool, refreshing taste of Coca-Cola. A loyal officer informed his boss that he was committing treason by harboring such goods. The chief disregarded the evidence and offered to buy the silence of those in the room with carbonated beverages. The report questions why anybody would ever brag about this terrible act, but justice is swift and the officer was quickly brought before the tribunal. The once loyal officer had obviously been corrupted by Coke, but at last he quickly spilled all the information he knew about his suppliers. It seemed that the culprits are now finally be caught. Another police raid, not too dissimilar from the one on the previous week, has been ordered upon the supplier. Finally, Coca-Cola may no longer plague the hearts of Chongqing with darkness. Oh God. This is such a strange thing. Industrialization. We cannot educate our population without teachers, and for the moment we have a shortage. As much as it may hurt, we must call upon our Japanese overlord once more and ask to borrow some of their teachers to help educate our burgeoning population. I never actually read what we need to do down here. Empower trying to push the government in their favorite direction. Should one of them grow too powerful, they may be able to enforce drastic changes in the government and reshape China as a whole. We should aim to maintain a healthy balance between all these parties. No? We will 100% push the liberals over the edge. At one point. but we will wait a bit for that. General industrial development. Expand state owned. Will give us another. Invest in private businesses. I want funds tools. Let's do this one. This one looks good. But we need to look at our money. Yeah. Hello? Please do not. Annual GDP growth, annual debt interest, deficit, annual deficit. We need to get that one. Okay, so yeah. We finished that one. New methods. It's my turn to play. Wei, you're a big idiot. Louis Xian stamped his feet, tears pooling up in his eyes. The child's classman paid little attention to the pouts of the young Chinese boy and kept playing, obviously. The frustration of being ignored built up in Louis, his unbridled rage climaxing with him smacking the girl upside the head. Kaito adjusted her glasses nervously as she flickered through the glimmerous stack of papers plopping upon her desk. Kaito loved teaching. It was what she was born to do, and she wanted to do something good for those who needed it most. Combining her aspiration and moving to rural China seemed like the obvious answer. Her idealistic passion may have clouded her judgment. This was not what she had envisioned. Kaito was brought back to reality from the nightmare screech from the back of her classroom. "Louis hit me, Miss Teacher, Louis hit me." Kaito took a deep breath and put on a soft smile. Now, everyone, we are all friends here. Would you look at the time? I think it's time we all learned each other's names. Why don't you go first, young lady? The schoolgirl wiped her eyes and nodded, walking up to the chalkboard. Slowly and shakily, something that resembled Wei began to take shape on the chalkboard. When she was done, a chorus of "My turn" and "I can do it better" erupted from the classroom. Kaito leaned against the wall, her smile now genuine. Oh god, I can't talk anymore. I need to make a break soon. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad after all. Oh, so it was a chalkboard. I thought it was a flat screen. Hmm. Reorganizing the curriculum. The subjects that have been taught as of now are not at all applicant to the innovation and conditions that the modern world has brought upon us. We will begin to reform of the curriculum and to adjust of those changes and reflect the grand efforts of modernization China will undergo for the good of the sphere. How does it look? 52%, 60%. Opinion is good, influence is still small. Okay, so they both are tied out again. Oh, this is actually pretty good. This is pretty good. Japan is still going down this focus tree. Ah. Death of some guy I never heard of. Ouyang Yuquan, famed Peking opera actor and director, passed away today in a Nanjing hospital following a week-long bout of sickness. Despite his fame, the funeral will be held in the countryside and will be closed to the public. Also, his early films expressed distasteful anti-Japanese sentiment, he eventually put his artistic talent to good use, producing patriotic movies in order to promote pan-Asianist goodwill and reconciliation. Any proud Chinese citizen is familiar with his work. His modern film adaptation of his own play, Pan Jinliang, is especially popular amongst women. Regardless of his politics, he was an innovative theatrical genius and made great contributions to film and drama theory. Then the people, the government, and the surprisingly well-connected Association of Film Enthusiasts all mourn his passing. RIP. Anyone else down here having a focus tree? Anyone? Oh, they have actually a focus tree. Oh, okay. Reorganizing the curriculum. We are in the process of updating the subjects taught at school to reflect the realities of the modern world. New methods of teaching, decades old, in developed nations, have been implemented. Lessons once nothing but antiquated parables and musings have been standardized. Children who once wasted time socializing and playing games on the streets now spend their careful partitioned days lugging textbooks in between classrooms organized into rows of desks full of anxiety over assignments and exams. Class is in session. New excavation equipment. How can we expect to catch up if our mining tools are the same ones used back in the days of the Qing? We must intensify our efforts to acquire new and modern mining equipment to properly harness the Earth's vast resources. 6 more minutes, then it's going to be done for today. So let's see what we can still see during this time. RK Norway, RK Ukraine, this idiot. Oh yeah, how close are they? Not that close. They most likely are here, which means it's still like another year to the Civil War. No, not a year, half a year. Let's research better computers, even though we don't have anything to use them on. What is our liquid reserve? Okay. What the fuck? Why is decreasing the construction budget pushing? Out with the old. The Chinese state is one of intense resource production and of intense poverty. For years, Japanese Zaibutsu have stolen our own resources in full view of corrupt politicians. Small Chinese resources extractors and contractors are brought up for measly sums and monopolies are maintained with little to no oversight. While the resources are there for the taking, Chinese industry lack the capabilities to effectively extract these resources and then put them to good use. This is of paramount importance to the progressing industrialization of China, so that we begin licensing and purchasing equipment from Japan in order to finally extract these materials that exist in our homeland. A Russian Rose, detailing the adventures of a young Chinese officer who served in the German Wehrmacht during the Second World War and has returned to China by way of Russia. This book has burst out onto the scene and become quite popular among the urban populace. Though it is largely based on factual events, the book is first and foremost an adventure novel, told through the guise of a diary and the unnamed main character. Each snippet of the adventure that was written begs more questions than it answers, driving the reader onward ever more in the search for answers and longing to get a full view of the hero's deeds. The author goes by the name of Nia Nan, an unknown on any literary circles, which only fuels the intrigue around the book as well as sales. At least there's gossip about something interesting for once. Digging deep. How do you want to go with cultural studies? And after that we go down to support innovations. Yeah. We'll add to the curriculum a sector of the studies of various cultures throughout the world, and the values, structure of households and progress of the country in order to probe and determine from the teachers and the students how we can improve our nation using these lessons. Erich Koch in Kiev bombing. Who is Erich Koch and why do I care about him? Like seriously, who is Erich Koch? An expensive dinner. The papers had been signed, the toast had been drank, and the farewell given out freely. All there was now was to wait for the shipment. We had high hopes and had paid in a high amount of money for this equipment. When it arrived through those rusting boats, we learned the lesson. The Japanese are not to be trusted. Disembarking from the ship, the equipment was revealed to be outdated, poorly maintained trucks, and rusted containers of supplemented tools. The engine has become a building cauldron of excitement as government officials and film stars flocked to the capital. On the schedule was the premiere of the film The Life of Wang Angxi at the Capitol Theatre. With all the pomp of an American Hollywood event, the film, which went from script to screen in under a year, this was the life and reforms of Wang Angxi, a major figure of reform during the Song dynasty. It stars iconic actor Yin Yang as a former minister in his last days, reflecting on his life and how his reforms were all brought down by those who thought to fuel their own power. Though the work is incredibly moving, it used a wild brush to paint a new political reality for the public. China is beginning her first steps towards reform. The message, carefully crafted by the Ministry of Culture, seeks to depict those who seek to stifle progress and reforms as a basest form of creatures, while lionizing figures like Anxia. In particular, the film went to great lengths to show Emperor Gao as close to a demon as possible, using a great deal of makeup to craft a distorted visage of that embodies corruption. The film closed with a slow pan along the Yangtze as Yang reads a piece of anti-poetry. Green in the spring winds the south bank of the Yangtze. When will the bright moon light my journey home? With Shanghai just visibly in the distance and the sun begins to rise. But I think it's now time out for us. So, we will see us next time. Till then, have a nice day.